Welcome back to Not Enough Projects. Today we're back on the 1990 F Super Duty. We're getting close on the AC. I think this time we're going to be able to get it vacuumed down, charged up, and hopefully we're going to feel some cool air today. So let's get to it. Okay, now I did go with this evaporator. I didn't switch them out because the length that they stick out from the housing is a little bit longer on these. So we're going to have to flush that. No big deal. I'm going to fill the air compressor and we'll give her another go. Okie dokie, let's flush her up. So I'm all out of mineral spirits, but we can use some denatured alcohol. Okay, let's flush the other way now. Actually, our jug is full. This is a nasty evaporator. In fact, it feels kind of plugged, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not real impressed with this evaporator. It feels kind of plugged compared to the old one. So, well, let's see how much a new one is. I'd rather, spend a few bucks and get a new one rather than chancing this thing. Alright, so this guy's looking like it's plugged. You can see how much pressure is building compared to the one we flushed earlier. A new one's like 50 bucks, so I mean that pretty much pays for itself in flushing chemicals anyways. So we'll probably just go do that. Yep. I'll link it in the description. Looks like we can get it next day for like 50 bucks off Amazon, but whatever. So since we still have to push the shaft into the master cylinder, we'll put the safety switch on afterwards. I did notice, you see how the master cylinder is tilted on this one? Also, if you look, there's a gap right there in the firewall. So this master cylinder may be slightly different from the old one, which is unfortunate. So we're gonna have a little bit of a hole into the cabin, but we'll figure out something. Now we are out of luck on the heater box until tomorrow when the evaporator arrives. Our new AC compressor bracket did arrive, so we can go ahead and get that. So here's the bracketry that I was telling you guys about. Again, I got this from a nice guy on Oil Burners, the forum. That's about the only place you're gonna find one of these, unless you get lucky at a wrecking yard. So there's three main pieces. We have this aluminum piece, which actually I believe holds the power steering pump along with the AC compressor. We have this front piece, which is what allows the adjustment for the AC compressor and holds it onto the front. And then this is the support for the back of the AC compressor. I think he said he sandblasted all of this because it was painted or something. Kind of looks like it. I don't want it to rust up, so maybe we'll give it a quick coat of black paint. Alrighty, parts are painted while waiting for them to dry, which should be pretty quick in the sun. Let's get the aluminum bracket figured out. So here's the current setup. You can see we've got 2 bolts going into the head, it looks like. I probably am going to need to look at a diagram for this. Okay, well, no. I believe it's going to go in like this. You can see the bolts that go all the way through to the head. And then the power steering pump should bolt on then, I believe. I'll throw a picture of the diagram I've been referring to up on screen, hopefully, so you guys can see what's going on. We're just going to start off by removing the current bracketry, and then we will fit our new stuff in and figure out how it goes exactly. Okay, there's our V-belts. By the way, that bolt was 5/8, this one's 1/2 inch. Okay, there we go, that's off. Let's put this guy in now. Loosen up these bolts holding on the metal bracket. Okay, I see now. So we have the 1-through bolt up here on the top left, and then we have the power steering bracket that we're reusing that goes from the front of this steel bracket all the way over to this guy right here. So, makes sense to me now. Now the guy I bought this from was nice enough to throw in as much hardware as you could find for this thing. And it looks like we're going to need it because you see this bolt is a little bit longer than this one. just a touch longer because the bracket's a touch thicker. Oh, okay, wait a minute. So the bolt that goes through the power steering bracket, it actually threads into this aluminum one. So I think there's a really short bolt, I guess, between this aluminum bracket and the head. Just my guess. Let's see what he threw in. Well, we have some short ones, so. And it's the right thread, so we'll give that a try. 9/16 looks like. Okay, now we'll throw the power steering on. I believe it's the short through bolt. Shorter. And then we have that really short one that goes onto the power steering adjustment. Okay, I think that's all the bracket bolts, so I think we snug her down. Now, as you guys saw, we have a double V-belt set up on this the power steering pump. The AC compressor, I believe, takes the outermost V-belt, and it does not go over the power steering pump, so we're just going to run one V-belt for now, I think. And now we'll tighten up the V-belt. Probably just get a pry bar in there, is the easiest way. Okay, power steering is on, and I think we're ready for the AC compressor. Let me show you guys what I was talking about in case you couldn't see. So we have this long bolt that goes into the head. We have this long bolt that goes through the power steering pump bracket, and it goes into this threaded boss of the new aluminum bracket. And then on the back side down here, you can see where it goes into the head. We have a really short bolt that goes from here back into there, and that's about it. Everything else is the same as before. Make a slight mistake. I went to install this front C-shaped piece, and this bolt that goes through the bracket to the head has to go through this adjustment slot first. Then we take this 1/2 inch long bolt, 1/2 inch headed that is, put it through this, and you'll notice there's nothing to thread it into. And then you see this adjustment slot on the square piece. We're going to use a short bolt. It screws in from there. And with that, we are just about ready to put our AC compressor on. It sits in like so, and all the bosses on the AC compressor are threaded. So I'm just going to take a bunch of our short bolts, thread them all up, and then we should be golden. Okay, so now we have all but one boss threaded in just because we're missing one bolt. Not a big deal, I can find one. So we have this top one. We have this adjuster slot that's just from the bracket to the aluminum piece. Then we have two, well actually, this one way down in there, that go to the compressor. Then we have this one, and one more back here, which I need to grab from somewhere. So with that, we have our AC compressor bracket setup, and you can see everything looks pretty good in line. So we just need to get our belt, AC belt, that one last bolt, and we need to get our lines all set up. It's next day. We got our evaporator. Looks like it came with an orifice tube too, but we'll use the one we got. Everything looks good. Looks like some of the fins are a little bent, but we can live with that. So let's disassemble the box and get the new one out, or get the old one out and the new one in. Alrighty, looks to me like we just need to take out these 5/16 bolts and the case will split. Here's our new one. Seems to fit very well. Move this one in like that. Okay, we're all bolted up, except for that one lower bolt. Before I put that in, I just want to make sure everything works. I'll show you guys. You just remove the inner fender, and you can reach up and under and get it in. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as I made it. So for the wiring situation, we have this, which I believe is for the low pressure shutoff switch, and this connector, which if you guys will remember, we tracked down the AC clutch over to this, and I didn't know why it had this connector on it. And the reason why is because the AC and HVAC box actually has its own wiring harness. So on AC cars, they just have this connector built in and the low pressure switch connector on there. So it was actually silver lining in having to get this box. We have all the correct wiring. We didn't have to do any wiring hackery. So we'll just need to plug these in. This is sat open for, you know, who knows how long, so I'm gonna clean it out a little bit. And then down in here, we have our vacuum connections, which go up in there. And then we have this connector that goes down through into the kick panel. And you can see we have our green-violet wire. That's the AC clutch wire. So we'll just need to connect those up and then we're golden. Alright, everything's hooked up down under the kick panel and up here, except for the low pressure cutoff switch. Let's get our accumulator / dryer in, make sure everything fits. Okay, the accumulator's interfering with the bracket that holds it. I think it's because the condenser has a slightly different angle than the factory. So we're gonna fix that. Alright, I think we're all hooked up here. I just need to bolt down this hole down and heater lines, but I guess we'll get those in now. Do need to fix our recirc valve, but it's gonna work for now. Alright, let's start getting our lines all situated, laid out, and make sure everything bolts up. We do need to put our manifolds on here for the AC compressor. I think they're exactly the same, so I don't have to think about the flow of the system to figure this out. Oh no, never mind. Because we need both pointing that way, so it goes like that. Easy enough. Let's pop these bolts out and get her on. 10mm. Okay, now we do need to add our oil into the compressor for the whole system. It came pre-charged with 3 ounces, and we need PAG 46. I believe the system capacity is 7 to 9 or so. So we will add 4.5 ounces, somewhere around there. Okay, this bottle is about 8 ounces, or well, it is 8 ounces. So I marked the approximate halfway point. We'll just pour that much in to get 4 ounces plus the 3 ounces that's already in. Hopefully not spill everywhere. And I spilled everywhere. Well, that's going to make it hard to find a leak. If there is one. Shoot, forgot to get an AC belt. Just realized it. Well, shoot, these bolts don't fit right. That's awesome. Might be able to make them work though. Yep, those are going to need replaced. Awesome. Looks like we need a cap screw or something. But we can get the lines all situated without that being proper. Okay. Now the lines from the accumulator to the condenser. Of course, we can't forget our orifice tube. Now we can put on our line. Just me, or does that not seem right? Just need a little bit of bending, I guess. Okay, we've got a problem. So that line no fit. So we can check that this old line I have. Nope, not fitting. Well, shoot. I think this condenser was out of a 94 up. They must have changed the dang fittings. Awesome. Okay, well I think theoretically we could take a line, because it has the same fitting over there, from a 94 and up, and use that. The only thing would be the other side. We need to check that line and see how it... Now this is pretty surprising to me, but it looks like we may have lucked out. You can see the fittings made up. It's kind of a wacky fitting. It's not like the other ones. Come on. You see, it's got a flare on it, but it looks like it'll seal onto the O-ring no problem. So I think that we can go grab an R134A truck hose. We need it to not have that large of a threaded diameter. We need it, I think it's a 3/8 line that we need. This is way too big, but it should still have that spring quick release. So maybe I'll run to the junkyard real quick and try to see if I can find that line. Wait a minute, looks like I already got one. I didn't realize you even had this line, but it looks to be the proper one. It's just, we're gonna need to massage it probably a little bit to fit right. Nothing wrong with a little massage though. Let me snake her in and I'll bring you guys back. Oh yeah, she's gonna fit. Oh wait, no it's not. The plot thickens. That is the wrong fitting right there. Shoot. Got back from the junkyard with the Pre-94 condenser. You can see it's a slightly different style than our R134A condenser, just because in 94 when they switched to R134A they switched to a different, more efficient condenser design. We're stuck with this because of the reasons I showed you. This one has the proper size for our line, so it is what it is. I did look really hard for a new one of these because I figured they maybe had changed the design, plus we're not going to be dealing with a used condenser, but it's like unobtainium. I think I found one or two that were like a week plus out, and I'm kind of on a time crunch at this point, so we're just going to flush this guy and send it. Really not too bad compared to what we've seen. Make sure it's real dry now. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's do the fun part of putting it in. I really don't want to pull the rad that we just put in, so we're going to try coming out the front. I'm pretty sure you can. We're just going to take off the grill, and then we're going to probably need to remove the center support for the hood latch because it goes all the way down pretty much into the middle of the bumper. That's easy to take off, so we're going to give that a try and see how we do. Always a good sign with the zip ties. Oh, I think that's probably for this guy. Looks like there's a clip down here. You can see she was used to do some ramming. I think we can actually sneak out the bottom once we take this support out. Maybe. Well, yeah, let's take it out. Yeah. It wouldn't be a Ford product if it didn't have 5 different sizes on the one assembly. Another sneaky one back there. Should probably mark around. I think those are adjustable. I still need to get the nuts that hold the bottom part in place, so we just need to undo the upper parts. 2 10mm bolts. Okay, I think we are going to, because it's so tight in here with the bolts, I think we're going to unbolt this from the core support just so we can move it forward a touch. That'll make it a little bit easier on us, I think. We got both bolts out from the top of the condenser, and the rad's moved forward just a little bit. I left the lower bolts in loose just so it didn't fall down. Here we are running into this wiring harness here. You can see how the bracket up here is squishing in the wiring harness, so we're going to see if we can move that out of the way and work it out around. Well, I'm not sure that exactly is going to work to get it back in. That was a little destructive. Alright, so I think the way to do it is we're gonna, well, we already unbolted the radiator from the bracket completely, shove it forward, and we're gonna drop it down through here. Drop down super easy. The only tricky part was fitting around that ear right there on the rad bracket. I ended up getting a pry bar in there like this and pushing it that way while I dropped the condenser down, and down it went. So got it on the studs down there. Well, almost. Okay. Need to get those nuts. And we just need to bolt these up. Alright, we are fully back in, except for those lower condenser nuts. I'll grab those at the hardware store. So now, finally, we can have our moment of truth. Make sure this guy fits correctly, which it will. Over here, which I should have checked this stuff first, but I mean, it came out of the right year, so we are good. Awesome. Obviously, we need to replace the O-rings on our condenser, and then we can get the lines all bolted up. Alrighty, our lines bolted up nicely here on both sides. And I went to the hardware store. It takes M8 1.25 cap screws, just little guys. Hopefully it's gonna fit down in there. Yeah, that should do it. Alright, I'm gonna get both lines on, torque down those bolts, and then I think we're just about ready to vacuum her down. All the lines are torqued down. We just need to put our R12 to R134A fittings on, and then I will get the manifold gauge set up and the vacuum pump. Alrighty, I have vacuum pump set up. We have our high side on there. I put the adapters on. Low side. So now we'll just open everything up. Switch on the vacuum pump. And open these guys up. Now, since we flushed and there's probably a lot of solvent left over, we're gonna leave it for about an hour and a half, 2 hours at negative 30 inches of mercury, and then we're gonna let it sit for about an hour and just make sure it doesn't drop at all. You can see all the stuff coming out in the air. It's really important that you pull a deep vacuum so you get the moisture out of the system, because that'll ruin your compressor. We've had the vacuum pump running for about an hour and a half. She's, you know, pulling vacuum, so let's close up the valves. Let's shut the vacuum pump off now. And we'll just make sure she holds. You can see the low side, she's dead on, negative 30. High side, just touching, that's normal. You can't really get to negative 30. That's a perfect vacuum. So let's leave that for half hour or so, make sure no leak of downage, and we'll charge up. I did get the AC pump, or AC compressor belt on. It goes around the crank and the fan. You see that? So I'm gonna just tighten this up and then snug up all the bolts. Alrighty, let's start charging it up, because it looks like it's holding vacuum, no issue. So we'll clear everything off so we don't have anything catch into the fan or anything, and then we'll charge it up. Alrighty, let's start her up. It's been quite a while. Come on. Batteries are getting low. I let it sit with the door open for a little longer than I should have with the light on. Whoops. Battery charger time. Alrighty, got it started up after using the battery charger. I don't know why it was throwing such a huge fit. I did just throw a tiny bit in there before it was started, but now we're going to do the real charge. You can see I purged it there to let as little air into the system as possible. There we go, compressor cycling. I feel it sucking refrigerant. Looks like I may need to tighten up the AC belt. It's starting to cycle on for longer and longer, so that's a good sign. It's almost sucked the whole can. Okay, that's about it for this one. Belt's slipping, we may need to shut it down and tighten that belt up. Well, it's grabbing now. If it does it again, we'll shut her down. I don't know if this gauge is working. There's no way it's that low. Alright, yeah, we gotta shut shut it down and tighten that belt up. That's pretty bad. Definitely blowing nice and cool though. It's not like ice cold yet, but it's, you know, definitely sub-ambient. Alright, I'll tighten that belt up. Alrighty, our belt's tightened back up. Hopefully I got it right this time. Get that pry bar there. Let's start it back up and keep feeding it. I forgot to mention, and I should have earlier, the rated charge for F-Series trucks in 94, which is when they switched over to R134A, is 34 ounces. So that's about 3 of these 12-ounce cans. 12-ounce cans when you start counting loss from switching the cans over. Hopefully she starts right back up. If not, we have something to investigate. Interesting. Okay, we're gonna have to figure that out. But she started up. AC is definitely already nice, and it needs another can and a half, so I think we're on to something. Forgot to say, I think I got the high side working now, so we can see the gauge. Okay, that's about that can. That can had a little bit used out of it, so we may need to get another can and just top it off a little bit. The pressures look right. It's about 100 degrees out here, and it should be around 50 and 320-ish. That's about where we're at, so it's a good sign. I'll have to grab a thermometer so we can quantify our results, but it's pretty comfortable in here. Definitely blowing some cold air. Plus, our evaporator, our condenser, sorry, sits quite a ways away from the rad, so I'm wondering if there's not super great airflow over it. It's probably going to improve cooling when we start moving, and if we end up needing to, we can throw a little electric pusher on there, but I don't think we're going to need to. This is already good enough, at least in my book. So yeah, let me grab the thermometer. Just going to rev it up and see if that increases the cooling at all. Oh yeah, real nice. Alright, I've got a little IR thermometer. Ambient's about, well, that's asphalt, so let's see what the wood's like. 100-ish degrees. Yeah, around 100 degrees ambient. Looking at about, well, obviously it's measuring the fins. 67. So yeah, we may end up needing more refrigerant, but I mean it's already blowing acceptable air. Plus, like I was saying, the condenser maybe getting too hot. Let's actually try putting a hose over it and see if our cooling ability increases. Oh, it's dropping a little bit. Alright, just spraying the condenser down a little bit, get a little bit of the temp out of it. Let's see if we can rig it up. Spray it down one more time. Shove our hose up in here. Okay, have the hose going. See if the cooling's improved. Obviously this isn't a fancy AC thermometer, so it might not be that accurate for this kind of thing, but let's see if it's cooler the closer we get to the evaporator. Oh yeah, the air coming out of this vent's nice and cool. Yeah, this is the coldest vent for sure. So yeah, I think a little bit more refrigerant because we're a little bit low from the spec, and then we're gonna be happy. I would be happy even with how it is now. I mean, it's not like an ice box, but it's way better than having the windows down. Not too shabby. You can see our high side has come down quite a bit at idle, so it definitely needs some refrigerant. More refrigerant. It's cooled off a little bit because I had to run to the store, but let's see if she'll take some more and see if we can get it to cool just a touch bit more. Let's see how she fires up after sitting for a whole hour and a half. Not well is the answer. We got air coming in somewhere. Let's give her a sniff of ether. Just a little bit. Hoofed up. A little bit too much. But she's running. We got the AC on. Alright, let's keep feeding her some. For some reason, this stupid self-sealing can adapter doesn't work very well, so I gotta mess with it some. I'll just bring you guys back once I have it eat the whole can. I got it to drink about as much of the can as I want to give it. I mean, it only needs a little bit. Let's see, outside, we're looking at, you know, that's not accurate. Let's see something. We're going around 85, I'd say. It's about what it feels like, too. Shaky Cam 5000. Alright, and then in the vents, oh yeah, 47 over there. Oh yeah. Nice. I'm gonna call that a win. Good enough for me. Good enough for the girls we go with, as they say. That's gonna keep us more than cool enough, I think. So, sweet. I might just sit in here for a little while. Now that we know the AC is working properly, we just need to get the front end back together. Pretty simple. So I'll just set you guys up and get to work. Alright, we're missing all these, but they were missing to start with, so if we end up going back to the junkyard, I'll try to grab some more. Cool. Alrighty, now that, well, we buttoned up the AC, it works. I'm going to go ahead and mark her off. I don't know how it showed up on video, but this was a long time in the making. It took lots of part scavenging and figuring out obscure part numbers and stuff to get this to happen, but hopefully, if anybody else out there wants to add AC to their V-Belt IDI, the information that I discovered will help you out. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to answer as best I can. Hope you guys enjoyed. Got lots more coming out on this thing, so stay tuned. See you guys next time.